What if I told you there was once a king whose very body defied the laws of nature? A monarch whose internal landscape was so terrifying that doctors believed he had been born twice or perhaps not entirely of this world? Meet James, the sixth of Scotland and later one of England. A sovereign whose physical being was a medical anomaly, sparking whispers of dark magic and supernatural intervention. They called him the monster monarch, but the truth was far more disturbing than any fairy tale. This is the story of a king whose autopsy revealed horrors that seemed to confirm every chilling fear his subjects had whispered about for decades. And if you're ready to dive into more shocking historical secrets that textbooks won't tell you, hit that subscribe button because we're just getting started with the disturbing truth behind royal power, the shock of the double birth. When the physicians of James VI and I gathered for his autopsy, they prepared for the usual grim findings of a 17th century monarch. What they found instead was a landscape of internal chaos, a biological impossibility that left them utterly stunned. This wasn't merely a sick man's body. It was a testament to a life lived against all physiological odds. His organs, bones, and even his skin told a story of profound and unsettling abnormality. The body itself seemed to be in a state of contradiction, a biological puzzle defying explanation. For centuries, the royal lineage had been seen as divinely ordained, a testament to God's favor. But James's physical reality was a challenge to this very notion. He was a living paradox, a king whose existence seemed to mock the natural order. This wasn't a curse from without, but a horrifying internal architecture that had been with him from birth. It was as if two distinct individuals had been haphazardly woven into one, leaving a legacy of medical mystery. The skin that held cryptic scars. James's skin, far from being the smooth, unblemished canvas of a typical monarch, was a roadmap of inexplicable markings and cryptic scars. These weren't the battle scars of a warrior king, nor the marks of disease familiar to the doctors of the era. Instead, they were subtle yet pervasive, almost as if his body had been reshaped from within, leaving its history etched upon his surface. Court records, though often sanitized, occasionally hinted at these peculiarities, describing a king whose touch was surprisingly cold or whose skin seemed unusually taut in places. These were not the signs of an ordinary affliction, but something far more profound, hinting at an internal struggle. The skin was not just an outer layer, but a living testament to the deeper, unseen anomalies within his body. These markings fueled the superstitions that surrounded him, contributing to the narrative of a king touched by forces beyond mortal comprehension. They served as a constant, silent reminder of the profound differences that set him apart from other men and other kings. The rearrangement of organs. Perhaps the most shocking discovery made by James VI's physicians was the inexplicable rearrangement of his internal organs. This wasn't a slight displacement, but a profound and illogical shift, as if his very anatomy had been reshuffled. His heart was found not precisely where it should be, but slightly askew, a fact that would have utterly confounded 17th century medical understanding. His lungs, too, were positioned in a manner that defied conventional anatomical diagrams, a testament to an internal structure that seemed to have been designed by a different logic. The liver and other visceral organs were similarly out of place, creating a tableau of disarray within his chest and abdomen. This wasn't the natural progression of disease. It was an inherent malformation, a blueprint gone awry from the moment of conception. Physicians struggled to reconcile what they saw with their textbooks, their limited knowledge unable to grasp how a man could live, let alone reign, with such a chaotic internal arrangement. It suggested a form of biological resilience that was almost supernatural, a body that had adapted to its own impossible design. It was as if James had undergone a radical internal transformation, or perhaps had been assembled from disparate parts. The duplication of bones, adding to the macabre findings, James VI's autopsy also revealed an unsettling duplication of certain bones. Physical impossibility that would have sent shivers down the spines of his physicians. This wasn't a simple anomaly, but a profound deviation from the human skeletal structure. Minor bones, particularly in his extremities, appeared to have extra or redundant elements, creating a body that was structurally complex and strangely redundant. It was as if nature, in creating James, had indulged in an unexpected excess, providing more than the necessary components. This skeletal peculiarity would have profoundly impacted his gait and movement, perhaps explaining the occasional courtly whispers about his awkwardness or lack of grace. Imagine the confusion of doctors tracing his skeletal framework, only to find unexpected additions, limbs that seemed to possess more joints or segments than they should. This duplication was not a matter of a fused bone or a minor deformity. It implied a fundamental alteration of his skeletal blueprint. It underscored the profound and unique physical challenges he had faced throughout his life, a body constantly working against its own unconventional design. It was a silent testament to the daily struggle of simply existing within such a bizarre and complex physical form. The ultimate medical horror. When James VI and I finally succumbed to his earthly ailments in 1625 at age 58, the medical community of his era faced a profound and unprecedented challenge. They had spent decades attempting to understand his physical peculiarities through the lens of a fledgling medical science, often resorting to supernatural explanations when all else failed. What the royal physicians discovered during James's autopsy, so utterly beyond the bounds of their understanding, that the official report was initially guarded, deemed too disturbing for widespread dissemination. Yet, the details inevitably leaked, painting a picture of internal horror that seemed to confirm every chilling fear his subjects had whispered about for decades. The royal physician, Sir Theodore de Mayerne, a man at the forefront of European medicine, meticulously documented his findings. His report, a medical document of chilling detail, described a monarch whose body seemed less like a man and more like a biological anomaly containing organs so malformed and diseased and bones so strangely duplicated that it seemed impossible he had sustained life for so long. Mayer noted the heart was remarkably small and shriveled, almost as if it had struggled its entire life to pump blood through a body that defied its very efforts. His lungs were described as heavily congested, filled with fluid and exhibiting signs of severe damage, hinting at chronic respiratory distress. But it was the complete disarray of his abdominal organs and the baffling bone duplications that truly confounded the physicians. James's intestines were described as being in unnatural position, almost twisted upon themselves, and his reproductive organs were markedly underdeveloped, issues that had been a silent source of concern throughout his 2 marriages and the subsequent succession. Perhaps most unsettling was the conclusion reached by Mayerne and his colleagues. It was a miracle this body sustained life for so long, as it contained not a single organ or system that appeared perfectly healthy. The autopsy findings were so extreme that rather than dispelling supernatural beliefs, they actually reinforced them. How could someone survive with such a profoundly reconfigured and damaged internal structure unless dark forces were involved? Or unless, as some whispered, he had been born twice, defying human biology? What makes this even more chilling is that James had lived 58 years with these internal horrors. Every day of his reign, he had been slowly dying from the inside out, his body a collection of failing systems held together by sheer biological stubbornness. The medical horror of James VI and I became living proof that, sometimes, the greatest enigma is not what we don't know, but what we see and cannot explain. If these dark corners of royal history fascinate you, hit that like button, subscribe for more shocking historical secrets, and tell me in the comments what other royal mysteries should I investigate next.